Hey y'all, it is early Friday morning, Friday the 30th of September, the day after Hurricane Ian passed through here. So we got slowed down a little bit because of the hurricane, but we're back at it. So let me show y'all where we're at. This is the 2005 Nissan Murano, and as you can see, engine is completely out. Engine is completely out. And it's back down on the ground. And there's a lot of cleanup work to do. We did a hose down, and we got to do a wipe down, and then a spray down, and then another wipe down. But especially in this back area over here, a lot of power steering leak stuff happening back there. You can see on the frame a bunch of mess going on there. So we'll get the rack and pinion all cleaned up. We'll get these hoses all wiped down. Those are your power steering return line, pressure line coming up top, sagging down there, loop down. So yeah, we got some heater hoses back here that probably wouldn't be a bad idea to replace, but you know, it's just one of those that, like, look how easy it is to replace these heater hoses now. And then later on, when you're leaking on the side of the road and you have to pay someone to get to those heater hoses later, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. Because this motor is so crammed in here, it's so wedged in here, that good luck getting those hoses off and on later. So we're going to ask how much they cost. If they're not too expensive, the customer can approve it, we'll go ahead and replace them. There's a little bit of dinginess happening inside. They look a little impregnated, a little bit of mushiness happening. So I mean, this is 2005, y'all. You know, they've been there since 2005. So yeah, it's about to be 2 decades almost. Original hoses, original coolant passing through there. So, you know, you want to upgrade those. Those would literally be a nightmare to replace later once the new engine is in. Here's the old engine. And we took it out with the transmission attached. You could argue back and forth that it would have been easier to take out just the engine and leave the transmission in and lift it up and just drop the transmission down from the bottom and then all this. But look, guys, I've been doing this a long time and I'm not here to argue with anyone. To each their own. For me, it's always been a little easier to take the two out together, separate them out here, join them out here, use the proper engine hoist, angle it, hoist it down in place, and work it in that way. This motor has chocolate milk in it, so we will definitely be addressing that. We'll be cleaning that transmission up as much as we possibly can. Cleaning not this motor, but the other motor that's going in. We're going to get these catalytic converters off, swap. There's a lot of swapping off of this onto the other motor stuff happening. These motor mounts are a little mushy. This one's about to go, and the one in the front is completely gone. Like it's torn. You can see it. Like there's like nothing left. So this was like completely ripped. So this motor, when it goes to accelerate and take off, it's got to be going clank, 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 rocking back and forth, right? There's some other hoses going on over here, like this little elbow. It's like crackling. You can see how rusty the pipe is. Either this car was up north for some time, or they've been running too much water, not cooling it. This is a power steering hose, and it's hard like plastic, and it was very hard to get off. So if you guys are going to remove this engine, I've seen guys do this with like seatbelt straps and things of that nature. It can be done that way, but the proper way is to use a proper engine hoist. You're going to want to be able to level it the way you want to level it to get it to come out. And this motor mount is where you want to go. I use the original bolt that comes here. On the bottom, it has one that goes from the bottom up. So I grabbed a long bolt out of my bolt bucket and put a nut and a washer on both sides and hooked it there. And then over on this side, I loosened the bracket for the shift cable and put it there. And then over here, I loosened the bracket to this hot water pipe. It's a cooler, oil cooler. No, transmission cooler. Sorry, transmission cooler. And I loosened one of the bolts there and threw that there. Behind this, if you see, there's another hose here. That one you could always replace later once the motor's installed. I'm not going to nitpick that. But there's definitely some concerns with the age of all these hoses. Every single one. There's a bunch of other hoses down here for the cooler and things of that nature that I was also looking at. And they're all very hard. Like all these hoses are just like hard as plastic. You know, it's an old car, 2005, and if you look in here, this is your coolant water pass here. So they've been running too much water and not enough coolant in here, and water oxidizes like that. So, and then they ran it hot and overheated it, you can see. And so, yeah, this motor was leaky everywhere. So, normally on these motors, I'll take them apart and I'll clean them and I'll rebuild them. This one's not worth rebuilding. This one's seen better days, and this will go straight to the scrap yard. Yeah, we'll get the transmission off. We'll clean it. We'll address any hoses that need to be addressed. We'll do the CV axle. We'll do the motor mounts. And a lot of clean and prep. And if you look at the harness, I'm going to buy a couple rolls of tape. This is the harness here. It's like, let me get it back inside of the car. So this is the engine harness. And you can kind of see it on display there. It connects over here on this side. You have some stuff coming down off of the fuses. I think this is on these. Yeah, this is not the computer. This is just a fuse relay box. Computer, I think, to this sits inside the car, probably under the dash. You have some other fuses here. So as you can see, this engine harness runs back in there. I think that's why I'm saying the computer's probably back in there. But a lot of this harness needs, like a lot of guys will just swap your engine and they'll just reconnect, not pay attention to the engine harness, and then come to find out there's like kinks in the wiring. Something in the wires is broken, just melting wrong. And you want to dot the I's and cross the T's. And then what happens is you'll start the car up and you're like, oh, why am I getting a misfire? Why am I getting check engine lights on? Why am I? And it's because you got lazy with the harness. So you want to go through and inspect all your pigtails. You want to wipe everything down. You want to check everything on this harness carefully and go through and retape it. Yes, you heard me. Retape it. If you look at this, look at all this. Look at all this, guys. So you want to go ahead and you got grounds on here. You got all kind of stuff going on. You want to go ahead and retape this. Get some fresh tape on all this harness to protect it because of heat and everything over time. Like, tape doesn't last forever, and you want to do it like you care, right? So we'll take this whole harness, we'll inspect it, will retape it. It takes time. Yes, it does. It's more work, but in the end, it takes more time to be chasing down, electrical gremlins because you didn't take the time to properly inspect the harness and secure it and retape it. So wipe everything down, redo the harness, get motor mounts, get a CV axles. That's kind of where we're at. And hoses. Don't forget the hoses. And heater hoses are the most important of all the hoses. Those are bare. So yeah, we will, this car could use a pair of hood shocks. It could use a driver's window regulator. This car needs some work. But at the end, guys, it's like, do you want to be that mechanic that looks like you're trying to pinch every last penny out of your customer? No, you don't. But at the end of the day, you also want to, give them back something that they can get in and drive. And if it's something that they're gonna like, a driver's window is important, y'all. The driver's window is the driver's window. When you go to the bank, when you go to the drive through to get fast food. Sorry, I had to pick this up. When you go to get fast food at the drive through, the driver's window is the driver's window. That's the one you use the most. And they got it wedged with a door stopper. And I'll open it so you can see it. And the door panel's already off. You don't put all this money in your engine and want to drive around like this with your door panel off and a wedge stopper. Like, if you gotta go borrow some money, pawn something, figure it out. But you don't want to drive like that. If it was the passenger window, I'd say, who cares? One of the back windows, who cares? It's freaking driver's window, So, you gotta act like you care. And if you're not gonna care, then why even take the time of doing all this, But I think it's smart to do this because there's a lot. Think of what you would have as far as a new car payment. You're going to take this old engine out. Yes, it overheated. In a perfect world, you would do the timing on it. I got this transmission in the way. I just repainted. Here's the other engine. And, you would take the timing cover off here and redo all your timing. But then it's like, she's having to buy all new timing components, and that's, how much is that going to cost? And, I would love to do that because then this engine would literally never have to come out again. New engine, new timing. As long as she doesn't blow head gaskets again, she should be good to go. So now we have two intake manifolds, the original intake manifold, and then the intake manifold it came with. We have to decide which one of the two is looking better. The junkyard puts marks on theirs, so normally they want you to reuse theirs. I don't really care. I'm going to use whichever one is the best one. But, I got to take a lot of the hoses. They just cut them. A lot of the harness, they just cut. That's how they remove these engines so fast. And we got to go through and clean this up and get it ready. We got it on a cart that I can wheel it out there in case you haven't noticed. I don't go around stealing these carts. Someone brought it here and never came back for it. So I put a little wood crate on the bottom to keep it from teetering. And I can do my rear main seal on there. I can do everything on there. And I can wheel this out on the opposite side of this out here tomorrow. And have the two engines side by side and start doing swap back and forth. I can take the e-brake down on this and push it back and have room to work where the car is. And that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. I'll have both of those out here and I'll be going back and forth in between the two. But I think the first thing I want to do, allowing that I have good weather, is address the harness first. It's the most tedious, annoying part. You literally climb in there and just peel everything off. And you're taping, but you're not just taping, you're inspecting every pigtail. You're looking for breaks in the wires, anything that would, lose continuity as far as, not having a good connection. So once we know the harness is good, harness is wrapped up, we're already in there. We go ahead and wipe the frame down, lower subframe, everything gets wiped down and cleaned. Go ahead and address those heater hoses, and then the engine bay is prepped, and that's what you call engine bay prep for a new engine. So at that point, we can close the hood, push the car back, and address the two engines. Then you do the two engine prep, where you're prepping both engines, getting ready to make one out of the two. And this one has brand new pretty little coils in it. They're all blue and they look nice. So we will be reusing all these coils. I do have a set of spark plugs for it. I will be detaching this transmission from this engine. I'm not going to rebuild this engine. I'm not going to hold on to it, so it'll just go on the back of my pickup truck and go down to the scrapyard. I normally don't take them to the scrapyard until the engine swap is complete, because if there was an issue and I needed something off of the old engine, then I still have it here. I don't scrap them until the job is complete and the car is out of here. But it will be on the back of the truck. I don't load it in the garage. So yeah, we'll get that loaded in the back of the truck. We'll get the new engine attached. Prep, hoses, everything I discussed. Attach motor mounts, drop it in. If you haven't noticed, the motor mounts are still attached. A lot of guys will detach this bolt, which comes all the way across here on the back side of the motor, and they'll leave this attached to the subframe. I think it's easier to remove the motor leaving this attached here because the exhaust manifold is in the way. Now I know these exhaust manifolds have to come off anyways, but they're easy to remove once the engine's out. Once it's back in there, this engine fits so tight and crammed in there, you don't want to be dickering with this exhaust manifold. Look how rusty, crusty all these bolts are, and you're in tight areas back there, and it's a little more careful to do it back over here. Yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Like, there's really nothing else. The motor mounts, I did the front one the same way. That power steering pump is a leaker. In a perfect world, she would have money for a new power steering pump so it doesn't leak everywhere else. It's not a perfect world. She's not rich, so we're gonna do the important stuff. Like, this motor mount is so detrimentally important. Thing is like ripped. And again, remove them from the bottom bolts, not up here. Look at this starter. I noticed this too while I was in here. See if y'all can see. It says Nissan. It's so greasy. Trying to clean it so y'all can see it. There you go. Nissan. So this is the original starter from 2005 when this car was originally assembled. It's never been replaced. Go figure, right? Original transmission too. So yeah, never ever been replaced. Nissan quality part there. These are popular motors. These 3.5s. They're called the VQ series. They come in the Nissan 350Zs and the Infiniti G35s. Not in the G37s. Those are 3.7s, but it's in the same family of VQ series engines. Yeah, it's a popular engine. It's on a lot of other platforms. I know there's a few. I'm not the Nissan expert, but I know there's a few other platforms that use this same engine. The Murano, obviously, being one. But there's another SUV Infiniti makes. I can't think the name of it, which is similar to a Murano, and it's in the Infiniti version of a Murano. Dang, I can't think of the name. Well, anyways, they use this engine too. The Muranos also came with a 4-cylinder, and they're a lot more easier to work on. And if this was mine, I would have swapped a 4-cylinder in it. Better gas mileage, a lot more engine bay room. And I think they're cheaper than the V6s, but whatever. A lot of people like the V6 for the power of the V6. And when you need to get up and go and overtake another car, that V6 gets up and goes. The 4-cylinder's a little more of a slouch. So for that reason, I guess it's cool. But it's wedged in there tight. I'm talking about tight. Like, it's just in between one side of the frame to the other side of the frame. It's like you can't fit a sheet of paper in between. Like, it is a tight wedge. And then on the back of the motor, front of the motor, it is super crammed in there. Once you put the radiator, the fan, the AC condenser, everything back in this thing, it is wedged in there. Like, there's no looking through to see the bottom. So, I mean, it's a really small shape. Like, the way they designed the front hood, it's kind of like a rounded front hood. It's not squared. And the nose kind of comes down. You know, I get aerodynamics, fuel efficiency, all that, but it doesn't leave the room that the squared front ends would have to work on. And that's a whole lot of motor, and it's a big bulky transmission, as you can see, to push that V6 around. And yeah, it's not easy to pull out. Look, the goal was to get this done as quick as possible. It's really an inconvenience for me to do right now. I have a lot on my plate. As you can see, I got a big job with this Subaru here. I have plenty of other cars here on the property I need to do some work on. I have a big job waiting with this Cadillac Escalade. After these, I have so many other jobs. I got neighbors pissed off at me because I got engine rebuilds that they're waiting in line for me to hurry up and finish these so they can bring theirs. A good mechanic is never not busy. It's just like it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back nonstop. And you just kind of squeeze people in. And she had been being patient. She's friends with my neighbor. And I really just wanted to tell her take it somewhere else, but I knew she was going to get a slap it in, slap it out job, just, half-assed, and I felt bad. And she's the manager of Olive Garden, so maybe I'll get the hookup on food as long as it stays running, right? Yeah, I decided, what the hell, I'm going to sneak it in real quick. But I have never done an engine swap all the years I've lived here outside on the driveway. Like, out here, this is the first engine swap I've ever done out here. Every other engine swap I've done in the garage. Kind of spoiled, I know, right? I have a garage. For many years, I was the mobile mechanic. Once you get a setup going and you get a garage, you're like, yeah, I don't want to work outside. I want to work inside with my big fan where I don't get wet, with less mosquitoes, all that. I tore this apart the night before Hurricane Irma, which was, it was last night. Seems like it was long ago, but that was last night. And then Hurricane Irma hit today, and now I took a break for her. What do you need?
I was gonna say just a little bit of help on what will be a fitting thumbnail for the weather. It's for tomorrow's video.
Cool, come ask me, I don't care.
All right.
It's just another one of my lame YouTube videos.
Well, since mine has editing in it for 11 minutes, I'm just trying to choose which one would be good for a thumbnail. I tried different filters, I tried different colors, whether that's the brown or the black and white or at least the full HD color. Just going to show you a slideshow, just going by examples, by faces, by filters, and everything else.
I like the ones with the color. That one. I like the face in that one. Go back to the last one. The very last one. Nope. Very last. That one. You look a little serial killer going on there. Go next. That one. Go back. That one. I don't know. What do y'all think? Some people might comment.
With this color or...
Oh, no, not that color. Right there, stop, go back. That one has a little brighter color.
It is, and it's a smile.
I like the smile on that one. Show me the other one I picked. Yeah, go back to the smile one. Let's give it to the smile one. I like that one. That's actually a pretty good thumbnail.
All right.
You got my approval. All right, let me finish my video. My son is the best at YouTube. I suck at it. I just do what I can. But nobody cares about my videos anyways. Back to what I was saying. Hurricane Irma interrupted me pulling this motor out. And I went hard, and I worked on it all through the night. Like Hurricane Irma was coming and had to be like 3-4ish in the morning, and I got the motor ripped apart pretty much. All I had to do was take the motor mounts out and pull it and go from there. But I was too tired. It was like 4-ish in the morning, and the storm was getting bad. The power went out at like 5:30. And the wind was just starting to pick up. The hardest part of the storm came through here at like 5:30 in the morning. And I was out here feeling it, hearing the wind, hearing stuff land on the roof. Tin roof, was not liking it. This is the man cave, you know, in the house, in the main house, no big deal. But I was out here in the shop in the man cave, and the tin roof sounded like it wanted it to be over now. Like it was just going to fly away with Hurricane Ian, however you pronounce it. Anyways, I was just like, yeah, I think I've done enough. And I had the CV axles pulled. Did the other videos, y'all can watch them. I had the CV axles pulled. I have everything pulled. All I needed to pull was the motor mounts and yank the motor out. But just doing the motor mounts and yanking the motor out is a job within itself. This is a tight fit, and it's hard to get this engine out, especially in the driveway. So I was like, let me get some sleep. And then I went and laid in bed, and the storm hit and the power went out. Power was out from like 5:30 in the morning till like 10 p.m. today. So the fence was down, had to pick up the fence, had a bunch of tree limbs down, had to do a lot of yard work. The flagpole got damaged, the light there got damaged. And I was up on this light, man, and I literally... That light, I don't know if y'all can see it. It's pretty high up. And it's about as high as the roof of the garage, as you can see. It's up there. Pretty up there with the flagpole, almost as high. Oh, it's up there. And I leaned up a ladder up against there like a jackass. It was still kind of wet and rainy. And I was working on the light, and I got the light put back on because that light got knocked off. And it's higher than the normal roof line. It's up at the tippity top of the peak of their height. It's a pretty high spot to fall from, you know. And I literally fell. The ladder slipped, and I fell. Wah, plop, right there. And there was branches on the ground and everything, and I fell on my back, literally. And it was just like I was falling down from up there watching, plop. I almost hit my head on those stones. There were some branches here and stuff. So, yeah, at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I ain't doing nothing else for the rest of the day. I was in pain, and my son was around. One of my guys, Freddie, was here. My dad was around. I mean, there was people around. And if I would have had privacy, like if I was all alone, I would have probably laid there and got teary-eyed, like it hurt that bad. But, you know, in my head, it was just like, cowboy up and get up. And I got up, and you know how sometimes you're trying to act tough, but you're really in pain, like really, really in pain. You just want to go be a little girl and cry it off. It was one of those, and I was just fronting like I was okay, but man, I was feeling it. And the whole day, I was just like, like my back, like I need a massage, but I'm in pain, and I don't want it, even though I know I need it because it's so tender and bruised back there. And the rest of the day, I didn't want to do nothing. I was just like, I'm done for the day. I freaking fell off a ladder. That was after dragging all these branches, doing all this yard work, getting the generator running. You know, I did so much today on both properties, this property, the other property. And I was working on both houses. And, you know, I was spent, man. And this is all from like, I mean, I didn't really sleep anything. I tried to lay down at 5. It was like 8 in the morning. I still wasn't asleep. I ended up catching a nap from like 8 to 10:30, which was like, what, 2.5 hours? And then 10:30, I was up and at 'em again. I've been going nonstop because, you know, they were whining and crying about getting the generator running. And, yeah, and I kept going. About 10 o'clock at night, finally got the power back on, put the generator away, had a late dinner, whatever you want to call it. And I had told myself earlier in the day, if I can get the fence fixed, if I can do all this yard work, if I can get this house back to normal, get the other house cleaned up too, at least the important big limbs and everything. I still have more work to do at the other house, but if I can get this house stuff out of the way, I can come back tonight. I'd love to get this engine out. All I've left is the motor mounts and yank it out. I'd love to get it out tonight. And I was like, nah, you got hurt today. Like anyone else would have went to the hospital, got an x-ray and the whole 9 yards, and been back over here in a splint saying I can't work for a couple days and write me a doctor's note and all that shenanigans. And I was just like, you know, I'm in pain. I ain't bulletproof, but I was just like, suck it up, buttercup, you know. What do you want, them to pull out a violin and play you a sad song? You said you were going to yank that engine out. You said you were going to get this done quick. You can cry about it afterwards. Get it done. And it was like my subconscious telling me this. Everybody else was telling me like, oh, are you okay? You need to lay down. You need to take it easy the rest of the day. You've done enough. And in my mind, I'm just like, yeah. Wah. Get up and do what you said you were going to do. And this is a call to men. Like, you know, like, I'm not saying I don't feel pain. I'm not saying I didn't deserve some rest today after falling off a ladder that high. I mean, that's a hell of a hit. I'm feeling it right now. As I'm talking to y'all, I felt it the whole time. Everything I was doing after that today, I'm going to feel it tomorrow. It's just, the pain ain't going away anytime soon. But it's just like, sometimes you just got to feel the pain and get it done. So it's not like it's a big deal to pull an engine out. But this is an engine swap that I'll never forget, because I did it during the hurricane, before and after. The little break in between, on 2.5 hours sleep, the fall, the injury, all the yard work, the fence work. It's been nonstop, man. And then I left and went to go help some other people and came back and at the other property and things like that. And it's been a long day, y'all. And here we are, almost 5 in the morning again. It's probably already 5 because I've been yapping. But we accomplished it. We did it. We got the engine out. And it feels good. It's painful. It doesn't feel good physically, but mentally it feels good, because the body does what the mind says. And if the mind says, oh, you're in pain, go see a doctor, lay down, don't do anything, then the body overreacts and responds. If the mind is saying, come on, twinkle toes, like, get it together here, just keep moving, keep getting it done, the body complains. The body's sore, the body's injured, but the mind is telling it, no, I don't care, make it happen. And the body has no choice but to get in line and make it happen. And the body is such an amazing machine at what it can do if the mind truly commands it to do it. And, you know, to everyone else, it's like, big deal, you did an engine swap. Well, I did it during a hurricane. After I fell off a ladder, after I worked on 2 different properties, a hurricane cleanup. And yeah, there it sits, out of the engine bay. And we're making progress, and we did what we said we were going to do. So now we go to bed knowing you didn't defeat me. And I kept my word. You lose, I win. This empty hole is such a beautiful thing to stare at before I go lay down. Now as a man, I can sit here and feel like I deserve rest. I can go to bed feeling manly. I can go to bed feeling not like a chump. I'm in pain. Look, I'm in pain, all jokes aside. But, you know, it's like we get crybaby about stuff sometimes. And it's just like, you got to learn to just suck it up. The customer don't know what you go through. The customer doesn't know that you should be in a hospital getting x-rays because you fell from the top of the roof off a ladder, literally. And then you still went ahead and pulled their motor. Like, customers don't know. They don't understand these things. They don't know that you worked on 2 houses, hurricane cleanup on 2.5 hours sleep. They don't know. They really shouldn't care. It's not their job to know. It's not even their job to care. The only thing they care about is, are you really going to do what you said you were going to do and hurry up and finish my engine swap? And putting my fickle feelings aside, like, they're not wrong for thinking that. That's how it should be. Like, hey, it sucks you're hurt. It sucks you didn't sleep. It sucks there's a hurricane. Like, it sucks. But can I get my car back, like, quickly? Like, finish it. And, you know, I charge people accordingly. If you want me to hurry up like that, I'm going to charge you more. If you want me to work on your crap during a hurricane when nobody else would have, I'm going to charge you more for it. If you want me to take my time and go through your engine harness and really make one good engine out of the 2 and care about what I'm doing and clean everything and do it right, then I'm going to charge you accordingly. But I'm also going to do what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen, injured or not. So anyways, I don't want to ramble all night. It is late. Not too many people will watch this, but to the one person that will watch this, I hope you got more than just progress on a Nissan Murano engine swap. I hope that mindset-wise, it triggered something to get you to think, like, Danny's not superhuman. He feels pain just like the rest of us. And it's a mindset. And the next time you're in pain, your mind can command your body to get it done anyways. Or you can let your body command your mind into go lay down. Don't get me wrong. There are times where you have to say, you know what? I need to give my body a break here. But you know your limits. I knew I had some in me. I just was in pain and didn't want to give it. But now that I did, I'm feeling good about it, even though I'm not feeling good about it. Makes sense? Anyways, I'm going to go to bed. This Nissan Murano, I'm going to close the hood. We're going to call it a win. We're going to close this garage door. Tomorrow we'll tear into the harness. We'll discuss with the customer that we're going to need some more brake cleaner. We're going to need some more money for some more parts. And they should be happy to see that there's a hole in their engine bay and we're making progress the day of the hurricane and the day before. We haven't let the hurricane really slow us down, hardly any at all. God bless y'all. Catch y'all on another video with an engine going in here and no hole in this engine bay. God bless. Have a good night.